WXIX, all news, all talk, all the time.
WXIX.
Channel 19 update news from the wires of the Associated Press. First, we'll turn to international news stories. The first formal bargaining session of U.S.-Soviet talks on reducing nuclear arms in Europe lasted about 2.5 hours today. Afterward, a U.S. official said, "We've finished for this day," and he added, "I'm not going to tell you any more." The official, who is the deputy chief of the U.S. delegation, would not even discuss the atmosphere at that meeting. A holiday excursion ended in tragedy on the French island of Corsica in the Mediterranean. A chartered Yugoslav airliner with nearly 180 tourists and crew members aboard crashed into a fog-shrouded mountain. The police say all aboard died. All the victims apparently were Yugoslavs. The U.S. and Israel have decided to conduct joint military exercises in the Mediterranean as part of their first formal agreement to counter any threats from the Soviets or Soviet allies. Defense Secretary Caspar Weinberger announced the plan yesterday. And America's special Mideast envoy Philip Habib drove through Beirut, Lebanon to Damascus, Syria today. His route took him through Lebanon's Bekaa Valley, where the presence of Syrian anti-aircraft missiles has contributed to tensions with Israel. Syrian officials say Habib asked to meet with President Assad and Syria's foreign minister. A deserter from Nicaragua's armed forces says the Central American nation has received Soviet-built MiG fighters from Cuba. The director of the country's opposition newspaper challenges that claim, but he says the government has been strengthened by an influx of Soviet and Czechoslovak arms. We'll turn now to national news stories. Former Social Security Commissioner Robert Ball talked today to a committee of the White House Conference on Aging in Washington. He said no great big disaster hovers over the system, and he called Social Security a fantastic accomplishment achieved in one generation. As Ball sees it, Social Security may have short-term deficits from 1986 to 1989, but then will be on a strong financial ground until the year 2025. And he branded as absolute nonsense the idea that the short-term financing crisis requires long-term cuts in benefits. On this December 1st, a blizzard with winds gusting to 50 miles an hour swept from Nebraska into neighboring states. Visibility was near zero in some areas today, and one man died when wind blew down an oil rig in Nebraska. Another died while operating a snowblower in South Dakota. There's a report of National Security Advisor Richard Allen getting another gift from the Japanese. But this one is less weighty. An aide to Japan's finance minister says his boss gave Allen a paperweight valued at less than $50. We'll turn now to regional and area news. The Department of Energy has directed Ashland Oil to refund $25 million to its customers because of alleged violations of federal price controls. Ashland did not acknowledge any of its actions had been illegal. The department says Ashland agreed to a consent order ending years of litigation. And South Central Bell in Kentucky has converted the last of its 4 or 8-party lines in Kentucky. The company was ordered by the Public Service Commission to eliminate the multi-party lines by January 1st. Phone company officials say there were 56,000 families on the rural service a decade ago, and it has taken an investment of $40 million to bring them to at least a 2-party line setup. Ohio news now. International harvester officials say they're ready to put the finishing touches on plans to sell as much as $300 million in technological data to the Soviet Union. The Commerce Department says the technology will be used to build a combine harvester plant in the southern portion of the Soviet Union. International Harvester has plants in Springfield and Shadyside in Ohio. We'll turn now to sports. What has often seemed like the burden of being the top-ranked team in college football has passed to Clemson. The Tigers today became the 7th team this season to hold the #1 spot in the Associated Press poll, getting 63 of 68 first-place votes from the panel of sports writers. Pittsburgh, the latest victim of the #1 jinx, tumbled to the 10th spot after getting blown out 48-14 by Penn State. Now the tri-state weather forecast. Mostly cloudy with scattered showers tonight and tomorrow morning. A possible mixture of snow flurries in the afternoon with lows tonight in the low 40s and high temps tomorrow in the lower 40s, falling to the low 30s late in the day. That's Update News from the wires of the Associated Press.